And
because it didn't say
because
one or the other.
it's
saying all three of
all
them.
three.
Wow. Okay.
So do you ever? And remember, it says it must be what? Conspicuous.
Conspicuous. Yeah.
Have you or can you ever recall ever getting those three disclosures?
No, I mean, I know I've applied for credit cards. I just sign them, but yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
what does conspicuous mean?
That means it got to be obvious. That
So
means you
whether
gotta
whether
present
you're
it.
rushing through it or not,
Yeah.
it must be readily available for you to see it
Yeah.
and in plain sight. So now, if an institution, student loans, oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm giving you all the
Oh man.
So, you know, people say you can't delete student loans from your credit? That is
Yeah.
a lie.
Wow.
We've gotten over 150 student loans deleted.
Wow.
Right? So let me make something clear, guys. Deleting a student loan from your credit does not mean you don't have the obligation or the alleged obligation, right? Taking stuff off your credit is you control what gets reported. So let me make this very clear. You control what gets reported.
Yeah.
What gets reported goes into a FICO algorithm. There goes your 700, there goes your 750, and that's how I built to 800 three times. It's information.
Wow. And so for my insiders out here who's hearing all of this information, all it takes is knowing the information and then being able to have the right letters that you're sending to the bureaus so that they could comply with this information.
See, all right. So the first thing I want to just correct, and bureau. Let's dissect this word a little bit. 99.9% of everybody in America calls TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian bureaus,
Yeah.
right? Now, if I was to ask you, where did you learn this word from? What would your answer be?
Probably from something I read I can't say really the bank. I had to read it somewhere.
But this would be the answer everybody in America gives me.
Yeah.
Because of misinformation.
Yeah.
See, there's strategic word fear, right? You know, you got warfare, there's word fear. And word fear is how you use words subliminally that seeps into the subconscious mind that resonates a feeling of authority, right? So when we think of a bureau, who do you think of?
The FBI, to be honest.
Now, is TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian a government agency?
They're not.
They're not. Private institution, self-proclaimed credit bureaus because they knew words have power. Just like the Federal Reserve Bank. That is not a bank.
Nah, it's not,
and it's not even federal.
Right.
Play upon words. People.
Federal Bureau.
Ah.
FBI.
FBI.
Yeah.
So when
investigation.
we think these credit bureaus exist, it has a certain level of fear that's associated with it because, I'm scared of the government.
Right.
You know, government come and they lock people up. We don't see them again for 30, 50 years.
Right.
Well, if this so-called bureau is telling you that the information that they're furnishing is accurate, you're not going to challenge it because you think they have more power than what they exert.
They're the authority.
There you go.
Wow.
So when we take away the word and use their correct name, Consumer Reporting Agency,
yeah.
the same way they are defined in the FCRA, the same way they are defined in the FDCPA, we see that they're just like any other company. That's the difference.
Wow.
It's the words.
Wow.
Words are so powerful. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word became what? Flesh.
Yeah.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yeah.
Speak the things you want onto your life. So the power in words that we don't even look at their meaning subconsciously has an effect on the way we operate. And I learned this studying consumer law. What I think a word means is completely different than what it means in consumer law.
Wow.
Totally different.
Wow. And so, again, all of these credit reports. So I guess what can be reported on a credit report then?
Whatever the consumer wants. You control what gets reported.
And so, because So let me get this straight, right? So let's say, for instance, I have a credit card that I have good credit history on.
Mm-hmm.
They're reporting it without my consent,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because most credit cards are not giving consent. How do I get it on my or I mean it's on there already? And so the only time that this is valid is when I see something that I want to take off. You get where I'm going with
where
it?
you're going with it.
Like I'm wondering, because most people who open an account, they don't intend to pay late, or they don't intend for something to mess up. And so when they do open this account, they want it on their credit report. And so let's say, for instance, they do follow the steps to get it on the report. Well, what if when it's on that report, they are late? Do they have the opportunity, or do they have the right to say, you know what, forget it, I don't want it on there no more, and get it off?
So you asked two questions, and they're both correct. Whatever you want reported can be reported. If the account doesn't serve you, you can delete it if you want. It absolutely can.
Yeah.
So what I do is this, right? If it's only a late payment, I just get the late payment off. I keep the account. I keep the history.
Yeah.
If it's negatively affecting me,
Yeah.
I delete what that negative thing is, because you don't have to delete the whole account. You can just delete the late payment. Leave the account. You get like that one.
Yeah.
You keep the years, right? Because
Yep.
you want to maximize on the FICO points, because
Right.
we know that's what the banks are looking at.
Right.
Right. So we keep that to maximize on those points in those categories.
Right.
But at the same time, that late payment, well, I know 15 USC 1681A D2A1 says that, under the exclusion section, the term consumer report does not include. I am going to use that to my advantage. Congress gave me that right. So when you know, it's like it's playing chess,
Yeah.
right? When you know where the pieces go,
Yeah.
you have to checkmate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So consumer law teaches you how to maneuver the pieces. Do I want this on the account? Do I want that on the account? And earlier, in the beginning, you brought something up about debt collectors, right?
Yeah.
And the credit card debt and all that stuff. You know, a lot of people have so many debt collectors calling them. And what a lot of people don't know, there's people online saying that you have to pay debt collectors, and you're supposed to send goodwill letters to delete late payments. Don't ever, like, if you are hearing the sound of my voice right now, do not ever send out a goodwill letter. Don't do it. See, like, forget everything you thought you knew about credit. Everything you think you knew about credit, that your auntie, your uncle, your brother, somebody told you about credit, forget all of it.
Wow.
The real truth to credit is consumer law. The things you are able to do with consumer law, you cannot do with anything else.
Wow.
For instance, 15 USC 1692 CC, right? We're in the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And under the communication sections, when you go down to C, it says, in writing, a consumer can refuse to pay a debt collector. This isn't Darain making this stuff up. You can pull it up.
Yeah, I wanna
and
pull that up,
anybody
man.
can look it up. 15 USC 1692 CC.
Hold on, Richard. Hold on.
Oh, sac passé.
He said US or 15 USC.
1692 CC. Oh, while you're finding it too, a friend of mine says to tell you sac passé.
Sac passé.
Marvin Francois, he's a great friend of mine, and he would love to meet you.
Salute.
Yeah, he's like, tell my Haitian brother sac passé when you see him.
That's what's up. Salute, Marv. I appreciate you, brother. Tu bagay en forme.
Oh, he didn't teach me that one.
No, he know. He gonna know.
He didn't teach me that one.
15 USC code 1692C.
C, and then you go down to C.
So communication and connection with debt collection, right? And so if we go down to C, it says seizing communication. If a consumer notifies a debt collector in writing that the consumer refuses to pay a debt or that the consumer wishes the debt collector to cease further communication with the consumer, the debt collector shall not communicate further with the consumer with respect to such debt. So I know that, but that means stop calling though.
Well, that's one part. So you hear some gurus online say, don't pay debt collectors, don't pay debt collectors. But when you ask them why not? They can't tell you where it came from. This is the law that supports don't pay a debt collector.
Yeah.
When you put in a cease and desist, right, or a refusal to pay, a debt collector can only respond to you in one of three ways. And it's listed there.
Yeah.
Right? One of three ways. If it's not any of these ways, it is a violation of that law, and you can sue that debt collector for violating that law. You want to see a collections delete quick? Put an intent to sue. Send them a cease and desist.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
See, oh my God, I'm gonna give you.
But here's the thing about debt collectors too, though, because there's one thing that I'm sure still happens now, and I wrote this in my book a decade ago. I gotta update the book now because now you're giving me some stuff to write about.
That's pretty cool.
But you know, there are a lot of what we call debt scavengers who don't even have the right to collect on your debt, and they're using scare tactics to scare people to pay old debt that are old.
So there's things called statute of limitations.
Exactly.
On that, right?
Yeah.
There's things called resetting the cycle or starting the time over again.
Yeah.
Right? There's things called time bar debt.
Yeah.
There's
How do
a
you
new-
restart the cycle?
So they could do it before, but there's a new law now for debt collection, right? And 12 CFR 1006, Regulation F.
You memorize all of this.
I read this stuff every day.
yeah.
Right? So with the new laws say a few things, right? A debt collector cannot park any alleged debt on a consumer report